Hello, friends, colleagues, students, C++ learners. This is Dr. Satish Singhal, PhD, Professor of Computer Information Technology at Rose State College in Midwest City, near Oklahoma City in Oklahoma. Today I'm back to talk to you about array of C++ structures. We have done a couple of videos on structs so far, but those were all on individual structs. And then we want to talk about member selection in struct arrays and also passing struct arrays to functions in C++. Okay. So struct arrays, array of C++ struct create very powerful data structure to store large amount of data. For example, online businesses, data mining and data warehousing applications need large amount of storage in RAM for robust data processing. And structs have been used so heavily in legacy C and C++ software, and that software needs maintenance, that learning about them has become a required skill. Old software required a lot of maintenance, and they used struct. And if you are saying to yourself, what does maintenance has to do with me? Here's the important side note. 80% of software jobs relate to software maintenance. So there's 80% probability that if you get a software job, you'll be maintaining some old software rather than writing anything new. Okay? And struct arrays and structs are very important for that. Okay, so creating struct of an array is simple. Here I have a struct student, has 4 attributes, fields or members: string first name, string last name, int age, and double GPA. And if I have a declaration like this in the main function, student str bracket 5, then what will be done is that 5 members in this array will be created, but each one has these 4 fields. So first member is str square bracket 0, first member of this array, and the first name field of that is this. Second name, last name is this, age is this, and GPA is this. And same way, str1 has the first name field, last name field, age field, and GPA. And str2 array member has the first name field, last name field, age, and GPA, and so on. And this question mark means that when this declaration is done, although we create these 5 array members, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, nothing has been put in them, so we don't know what is in there. So values are undefined. Okay. So next thing we're going to do is show you how we can fill the struct array members. Okay. Okay. So how do we access the member access to member of struct array? The member access of struct that are in an array is a 2-step process. Step 1, select the array member using the square bracket operator and the array name. So if you want to select the first member, you take the array name, square bracket, and put 0 in there. That select the array member first. So when you want to access member of a struct, when a struct is in the array, you select the array member first using the square bracket notation. And then the step 2 is select the member of the struct of the previously selected array member. And if this is like too many words, I'm going to show you right now how to do it. Okay, So we have the struct definition here. We declare the array here. And I want to fill, let's say, the first member of this array. First member of this array is str bracket 0. So first I will select this member str0, which I've done right here. And this pen keeps disappearing on me. So this is the selection of the required member from the array. Okay? So don't forget this sequence. You are going to select the array member of this array first. Okay? And then we do the struct member selection. When I'm selecting the member first and saying that that should be John, then John is taken from here and placed in the first name field of first array member of this struct array. All right. So we just selected the first array member and the field called first in that member and placed a value John in there. Okay. If you understood this, then rest is same really. And then I'm doing, oh actually this should be 0 by the way, sorry about that. This should be 0. Then I'm still selecting the first member of the array, this one. And when I do the dot last and I say is equal to do, then in the first array member, in the field last, I'm placing the value do. So I just selected in the first array member the field called last. Okay? And it looks like I fixed it here. Then I want to select the age member of the first struct array member. So when I say a dot age equal to 23, then I'm selecting the age field of the first member of the array and dropping the age 23 there. And by now I think you got the idea. When I want to fill the GPA field of the first array member, I do the array member selection by the struct array name square bracket index, then the struct member selection, and if I set that to be equal to 3.4, then 3.4 is placed here. So with this right access mechanism, we filled the first member of the array. Okay. Read access is just like the same. Read access mechanism is identical to write access. If I want to print cout arrow arrow str0 dot first, then I'm accessing John and it'll just print John to the console. Okay. So how to access first the array member, then the struct member? This sequence is very important. If you've not understood this part, then really there's not much you can do from now on. So you go back and review this until it's clear to you. Okay. So now we're going to demo the code for struct array in Xcode. And we have done this student struct previously, but we're going to add the array and the required functions. I won't write the code dynamically. Code has been written, and I will just demo the code for you. Code will be available, copy of the code will be available in my blog, and in the description of this video you can find the link to the blog, and that's where you can get the code. So let's go to Xcode now. And we are in the presentation mode, so it's really big. That's what we want basically. So this was our struct right here. You have seen that. Last name, first name, age, and GPA. And then in the previous video that we did, we showed you how we can pass a single struct to a function by reference mechanism to save on the memory, save on the RAM, and put it in constant form. So this is not mutable. It becomes immutable, at least partially immutable. So this was the function shown that structs can be passed to the functions. And this function getStudent was also shown in previous video, which shows that structs can be returned from functions as a return value. Well, this time, first, of course, I'm going to demo for you in the main method the process that I did in the PowerPoint where these assignments were made. So here we actually declare str, create an array of size 5. So this creates the situation like, okay, keep going. Come on, it's got to be a better way. Like this one over here. Okay. And then as we populate the first field called first, of the first member of the array by John, field called last of the first member of the array, set that to Doe, field called age of the first member of the array, set that to 23, and field called GPA of the first member of the array called 3.4, then situation becomes, okay, come on, what the hell is this? Huh. This is so funny. Yeah, so situation becomes like this then, okay? And obviously it's no surprise that if I print that by passing this one member of the array to the print function, where this print function is being called, I'm gonna print that to console, and that's the same value that I put in here, John Doe, 23 years, 23, and 3.4. So that's kind of stuff we have done before. Now we want to show how array of struct can be passed to functions, and in this case we're going to fill the student array by keyboard input using a function called fill array. So fill array takes a student struct, and as you know, arrays are always passed by reference automatically, so I don't have to put an ampersand sign. And what function fill array does, it takes a keyboard input for the various part of the student struct, like last, first, age, and GPA, up to the length 5 max, and then it returns an int, which is the logical length of the array. If we filled all 5, int would be 5, int return value will be 5, otherwise it will be less than 5. Okay, so let's see the definition of the fill array. So definition fill array is as follows. I use a boolean variable done, set that to false. I use a count variable, set that to 0, because I want to see the logical length of the array, which will be equal to the maximum length if whole array is filled. And I want to give user an opportunity to stop anytime they want to. So I run this for loop where two conditions are checked. I is less than max, which will be true the first time because max is 5, Don't forget max is declared globally file here. And then and not done. So done was set to false, not done will be true. And then I increment I++ after, of course, as you know in for loop, this code will be done first and then it will be incremented. Okay. Notice I can use a comma operator to increase count plus plus also right here. And that's important because I is hidden outside this for loop. So I need a counter to find out how many elements of the array were filled. And here's the code reuse. I fill each member of the array by calling the getStudent function, which will build the student for me. And that code for that was shown earlier. Doesn't hurt to show that code again. So basically it asks for the first name, last name, age, and GPA, builds the student object and returns it. So that's what it does actually. Okay. So we already have, okay, I think I deleted some code. Yeah, let me go back. I think that did happen. Yeah, there you go. That code was deleted accidentally. And I want to make sure nothing was deleted here. Yeah, so that's fine. Okay, so getStudent is used to fill each member of the array. And if they have more data, they will enter 0. Value of done being 0 keeps it still false. Not false will be true. But if they say 1, if they enter 1, then value of done 1 is actually true and not true will be false. So we'll exit the loop that way. And finally, I want to show a print function, second print function, where array is passed to this function to print the whole array. This time I put a const in the front because I don't want array to be changing in any shape or form. And I pass the logical length of the array to the function. And if you go to the definition of this function, well, really it's a very simple function. We already had written a print function to print one struct, one instance of an struct. So we just call that one from inside the for loop and print the entire struct array. Okay. Here we showed getStudent for reading from the keyboard, but I can pass an offstream or ostream object to it, and I can read the struct from the file also, one at a time. And then fill array can take an argument also, offstream type, and fill that from a file as well. We'll show this because we're going to do after this an example called grading true false quiz, which we have done for using parallel array, but we're going to do that with struct array also. So we'll see how to fill the structs from data files in that example, which is forthcoming after this. Okay, so let's run this program now. And of course, the first order of business was that it'll print the first member of the struct that was just filled by print function, and that basically first member was filled here. Print function that takes the single struct instance as an argument was called, and this is the output from that. But basically we want to populate all the members or less than all using the fill array, which returns a logical length. Oh, incidentally, I wanted to clarify so that nobody's confused. This two line like this breakage is only in the presentation mode. Do not type it this way, your program won't compile. Xcode has a feature going to the presentation mode and that so that you can see the code much larger. Otherwise, really the real code
looks like this. So really speaking, these lines are not broken into two lines. So please don't type it that way. This is just for the presentation purpose. Fortunately, Xcode has a presentation mode, and I'm just using that so that you can see everything very clearly. This is not a C++ code right here. Not a code that will compile, basically. All right, okay. So now, since we call the fill array calls the get student, and it's asking populating all array members of array struct and new using the fill array function. So this time I'm just going to use some other name. Let's say Mary Doe, age 25, GPA 3.2, and I do want to have more data to enter. So we are in the fill array function right now. We are actually displaying this line 50 here. We got one student. Now it's asking me, do you want have more data? And actually I'm going to have one more student. Don't have to have all of them. First name is Lisa, last name is Adams, and let's say age was 34 and GPA was 2.9. More data? No, I'm going to just stop there. So 1 to stop. And if Mary Doe and Lisa Adam got printed, then everything is working fine. So did I type 1 to stop? 1. And now printing the student array using array print function. So it printed the Mary Doe first and the Lisa Adams. So what happened here is that fill array function using the get student function filled the two array elements. So count was 2, that was the logical length, that was returned to the main function here. So len is 2. Then we use this function called print, which takes the array of the student type and the logical length and print it. And that function is really right here. And the reason it works is that I call for each individual array element, I call the second print function, runs the for loop from 0 to less than len. And this is the function called over here that goes ahead and print the data of the two students that I entered here, Mary Doe and Lisa Adams. So that's the video on 3 things: arrays as structs as or array of structs, passing array of struct to functions, and printing array of struct by passing them to the function, and read and write access to those structs that are member of an array. And most important thing there was that you access the array member first using the square bracket syntax, which is right here, and then do the member selection using the dot operator. So array member first, dot the member selection. Okay, it's great to present this video to you. Thank you, and I'm going to do one more in this series of struct, where earlier I did a video on grading true false quiz using parallel arrays, but since we have learned about struct, we'll do the same solution to the same software problem using single array of struct. That's coming soon. Thank you.